listen to me. What I'm about to tell you is going to make you angry, because what my family did wasn't just cruel, it was calculated, it was deliberate, and it changed everything. My name is Marcus. I'm 26 years old, and I spent 26 years trying to be good enough for people who decided before I was even born that I would never measure up. It started on Christmas morning. Every single person in my family was gathered in my parents' living room. The house was beautiful, expensive. Everything in it was chosen carefully to display our wealth and status. My father sat in his leather recliner like a king on a throne. My mother stood by the fireplace in her designer outfit. My younger brother Derek stood near the enormous bay window. And me, I stood in the corner like I always did, waiting, hopping, praying that this year would be different. My father cleared his throat. "Derek, we have something special for you this year," he announced, his voice booming with pride. He held up a set of keys. Those weren't regular keys. Those were the keys to a brand new $117,000 Mercedes-Benz AMG. Brand new, with a massive platinum bow wrapped around it. Derek started screaming. He was jumping up and down like he had just won the lottery. My mother was crying happy tears. My father was patting him on the back like he had just done something extraordinary. And Derek had done nothing, absolutely nothing. My father turned to me. "Marcus, we have something for you too." For a second, my heart actually lifted. For one stupid moment, I thought maybe this year would be different. Maybe they finally saw me. Maybe they finally understood how hard I worked. He handed me a small box. My hands were shaking when I opened it. A mug, a $5 mug from a clearance bin. The words on it said, "World's okayest son." I stared at that mug in complete shock. Around me, the room was completely silent. Even Derek looked uncomfortable. Then my father laughed. He actually laughed at my expression. "Come on, Marcus, loosen up," he said. "It's a joke, don't be so sensitive." A joke. My entire existence in this family was apparently a joke. My mother walked over and patted my shoulder like I was a dog. "Be grateful, sweetheart. Some people don't get anything for Christmas." And that's when I saw it. That's when I finally understood what had been happening my entire life. They weren't just favoring Derek. They were mocking me for not being him. I need to tell you about my life to help you understand how deep this cuts. I need you to see exactly what led to this moment. When I was 12, I started working. Not because I had to, because I wanted to prove myself. I had a paper route. I saved every single dollar. When I turned 16, I got a job at a grocery store. I worked every weekend and every holiday. My parents never once acknowledged the work ethic I was developing. But when Derek turned 16, my parents bought him a truck. Not as a reward for anything, just because, they said, "We want you to have the best experiences in high school." I finished high school with a 4 GPA. I worked throughout college. I got my degree in mechanical engineering while paying my own tuition through student loans and work. It took me 6 years because I was working full-time the entire time. When I graduated, my father said, "That's good, Marcus. At least you'll be able to pay off your debts eventually." Derek graduated from high school with a 2.8 GPA. My parents threw him a $5,000 party and then paid for his entire college education. All of it. No loans, no work. He just showed up and got everything handed to him. I got promoted at my job, senior engineer at a major manufacturing company. I called my father to tell him the news. He said, "That's nice. Derek just got accepted into a networking group. It's very exclusive." Derek was unemployed at the time. This pattern repeated itself over and over and over again. Achievement after achievement on my part was met with cold indifference. Meanwhile, Derek's mere existence was cause for celebration. My parents would introduce Derek to people. "This is Derek. He's so charming. Everyone loves him." Then they would turn to me. "And this is Marcus. He's very practical." Practical, like that was something to pity. But I kept trying, because that's what you do when it's your family. You keep trying, you keep hopping. You keep working harder, achieving more, proving your worth. And then Christmas morning happened. and a $5 mug made it all crystal clear. I looked at my father's face, expecting to see some sign of remorse, some acknowledgement that he had gone too far. Instead, I saw satisfaction. He enjoyed watching me hurt. He enjoyed the joke. That's when everything inside me went cold. I didn't yell, I didn't cry, I didn't make a scene. I simply looked at that mug, then looked at my father and said, "Thank you for the clarity." My mother looked confused. "What clarity, Marcus?" "Clarity about where I stand," I said quietly. "Clarity about what I need to do next." I set the mug down on the coffee table, very carefully, very deliberately, and then I walked to the guest bedroom where I had left my overnight bag packed. My father called after me. "Marcus, don't be ridiculous. Come back and have breakfast." But I didn't answer. I grabbed my bag, walked to the front door, and left. It was 2:30 in the afternoon on Christmas Day when I got in my truck and drove away from that house. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't have a plan. All I knew was that I couldn't be there anymore. I drove for hours. I ended up at a hotel about 2 hours away from my parents' house. I checked in, paid cash, and locked myself in the room. And for the first time in my life, I cried. Not because I was sad, because I was furious. I had spent 26 years trying to earn love from people who had already decided I didn't deserve it. I had busted my ass. I had built a career. I had become someone remarkable, and it meant nothing to them because I wasn't Derek. Around midnight, my phone started ringing, and it didn't stop. My mother called 15 times. My father called 8 times. Derek called twice and then texted, "Bro, where are you? This is insane." I turned my phone off. I woke up the next morning and turned my phone back on. I had 43 missed calls and 87 text messages. The earliest one came at 6:47 a.m. "Marcus, we need to talk about your behavior. You embarrassed this family." Embarrassed the family. I had left because they gave my brother a 6-figure vehicle and me a dollar store mug, and somehow I was the one who embarrassed them. I called my best friend Thomas. We had worked together for 4 years. He was the closest thing to a real family member I had. "Thomas, I need a favor," I said. "I need to come stay with you for a while." He didn't ask questions. Thomas was like that. He just said, "Come over, we'll figure it out." I drove to his apartment and moved in that day. Thomas had a spare room and he let me stay without asking for rent. More than that, he listened. He listened to my entire story, all 26 years of it. And when I was done, he said something that changed my perspective. "Marcus, you know what I see? I see a man who worked his way up in one of the most competitive industries in the country. I see a guy who didn't have money handed to him and still made it happen. I see someone who accomplished everything through his own effort. That's not something to be ashamed of. That's something to be proud of." For the first time, I heard those words and actually believed them. The next day, I went back to work. I didn't tell anyone what had happened. I just threw myself into my job with an intensity I'd never felt before. And then my boss called me into his office. "Marcus, I've been watching your work for the past 4 years," he said. "You're exceptional. I'm creating a new position, lead engineer for our entire operations division. It comes with a team of 20 people, a significant salary increase, and a seat at the executive table. I want you to take it." I wanted it. More than that, I deserved it. I accepted the position on the spot. But here's where things got interesting. My parents, it turns out, had been struggling financially, and they didn't want anyone to know about it. My father's business was failing. They had been maintaining this facade of wealth and success while everything was actually falling apart. And they needed me. 3 weeks after I left, my father showed up at Thomas's apartment. I saw him from the window and I didn't answer the door. He left a note that said, "We need to talk about a business opportunity. Call me." A business opportunity, not an apology, not an acknowledgement of what they had done. A business opportunity. I threw the note away. Then came the emails. My mother created a new email account and started sending me messages. "Marcus, your father is very ill. We need you to come home." He wasn't ill. I checked through Thomas. Then she sent another one. Derek is struggling. He needs his big brother. Please come home. Derek was fine. He was on vacation with his friends. Finally, my father called me directly. He somehow got my new number. Marcus, I need to talk to you about helping with the company, he said. We're going through some financial difficulties, and we could use someone with your engineering expertise. I listened to him explain their situation. Their business was hemorrhaging money. They had made bad investments. They were facing potential bankruptcy. And now they wanted me to save them. No, I said. No, what do you mean no? I mean no. I'm not going to help. I'm not going to come home. And I'm not going to pretend that this phone call is anything other than you realizing you need me now that Derek is useless to you. Marcus, that's not. You gave my brother a car worth more than some people's houses. You gave me a $5 mug and told me it was a joke. You spent my entire life telling me I wasn't good enough. And now you want me to bail you out? No, Dad, that's not happening. I hung up. He called back immediately. I didn't answer. He called 5 more times. I didn't answer any of them. Then he sent a text. If you don't help us, don't bother calling yourself my son. I didn't respond to that either. I simply blocked his number. What happened next was incredible. 6 months after I left, I got promoted again, this time to vice president of operations. I was making 6 figures. I had a corner office. I had a team of 50 people reporting to me, and I had EARNED every single bit of it. Meanwhile, my parents' business completely collapsed. They lost their house. They lost their status. They lost everything. Derek, who had never worked a day in his life, suddenly had to get a job. He ended up working at a car dealership. The irony was almost too much to bear. The guy who got a 6-figure vehicle was now selling used cars to people who actually worked for their money. My mother tried to contact me through my cousin. Your mother wants to reconcile, my cousin said. She's very sorry for everything. I didn't believe it, because real reconciliation requires real change. And I knew my mother. She didn't change. She just wanted something from me again. I never responded. Then came the bombshell. My aunt called me. She wanted to know if I was okay because my parents had been telling people I was mentally unstable, that I had had some kind of breakdown, that I was jealous of Derek. When other family members started asking questions, my parents changed their story. They started telling people that I was ungrateful, that they had given me everything and I threw it in their faces. But here's what they didn't count on. Other people in the family, REMEMBRED. My aunt remembered all the times I had achieved things and received no recognition. My uncle remembered asking my father why he favored Derek so much. My cousins remembered watching me work through college while Derek partied. When they heard my parents' version of events, they didn't believe it. They believed me. 1 year after I left, I was sitting in my corner office on the 42nd floor of a building downtown. I had a view of the entire city. I had a 6-figure salary. I had respect from my colleagues. I had a life that was mine. I never thought about my family unless someone brought them up. And even then, I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just emptiness. Like they had been erased from my life the moment I drove away from that house. The $5 mug, I never saw it again. I didn't need to. I didn't need a reminder of their cruelty. I had something better. I had proof. I had my success. I had my accomplishments. I had my life. If you're watching this and you're in a similar situation, I need you to hear me. I need you to really listen. Your family's opinion of you does not define your worth. Your parents' inability to see your value does not mean you don't have value. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is leave. And sometimes the best revenge isn't doing anything at all. The best revenge is succeeding despite them. I was the son they didn't choose, but I chose myself, and I built something they could never take away from me. The lesson here is simple. When people show you who they are, believe them. Don't keep trying to change their mind. Don't keep working harder hoping they'll finally see you. Just leave. Build your own life. Become extraordinary on your own terms. My father created this situation. My mother maintained it. They both chose Derek over me, year after year after year. And then they were shocked when I stopped showing up to be rejected. I refused to feel guilty for protecting my own peace. I refused to apologize for choosing myself. And I refused to go back to people who treated me like I was nothing. Because I'm not nothing. I never was. Thank you for watching. And remember, if you're being treated like you don't matter, the answer is never to work harder to prove that you do. The answer is to walk away and find people who see your value without you having to prove anything. That's true strength. That's iron resolve.